Good morning, everyone. Today, our group's topic is about an organization that revolutionized finance, Grameen Bank, the bank to the poor. For my part, I will explore this its story through the fundamental questions, which is who, what, when, where, why, and how. First, who is behind the Grameen Bank? The visionary was Muhammad Yunus, a Bangladesh economist. Disturbed by the extreme poverty around him, he launched a simple experiment that would win him and the bank the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. But the most unique aspect is its ownership. 94% of the bank is owned by its borrowers and the poor, primarily women. It is truly a bank by the people, for the people, managed by a community-focused board. What does it do? Grameen Bank operates in the microfinance and social business sector. Its core business is providing tiny unsecured loans, saving accounts, and other financial services to the poorest of the poor, especially women in rural areas, who are traditionally ignored by conventional banks. Then, when did this happen? The journey began in 1976 with a small experiment in Jubra village. It became a formal bank in 1983, expanded across Bangladesh by the year 2000, and gained global recognition by winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. Where is it? Founded in the Chittagong region, its headquarters are in Dhaka, Bangladesh, where its primary operations are nationwide in Bangladesh. Its revolutionary model has been replicated global, from the United States to Africa and Southeast Asia. This brings us to the most important question: why was it created? Professor Yunus was motivated by witnessing the brutal cycle of rural poverty and doubt to loan sharks. His goal was to prove that access to credit is a fundamental human right. The bank's powerful philosophy is that trust is more important than collateral. Finally, how does it work? The startup capital came from Yunus' own money and the Bangladesh Central Bank. It's structured as a cooperative, non-profit social enterprise. This means it prioritizes sustainable operations and social impact over maximize profits. Then my partner will introduce the core activities, which is 8 questions.
Okay, next part is about the core activities. I will talk about the 8 questions in the next part, 3 parts. So first part is about the core resources and the value propositions. So first let's talk about their resources. Basically, they need funding for 3 key things: to pay their staff, to provide some training to their staff, or to run their community programs, and to set up their digital system, of course. With these resources, they created incredible source value. Their main goal is to transform people who are poor and have no cooperated into trustworthy entrepreneurs. They place a special focus on women, helping them to gain independence and improve life for their entire families. So how do they sustain this work? So they start to sell micro loans, savings on plans, and insurance. Their income comes from the interest and the fees on their service, which allow them to keep running and helping people. Yeah. And the second part is about the operation and the customers. Now let's see how they actually do these kind of things and who they serve. To run these operations, they need to buy from various partners. This includes the technology suppliers for their digital systems and training institutions to educate their staff and students. Their secret source they add value is a famous system. It's built around a small group of 5 people who guarantee each other's loans. This is supported by regular community meetings, financial education and a system where loan can get bigger over time as people prove they can repay. So who are their customers? They serve poor women, small farmers, and rural entrepreneurs. In fact, their work has reached a huge part of the population, about 15% of all rural peoples in Bangladesh. And the third part is about the competitive advantages. Of course, they're the only one in this space. They have some competitors, like traditional moneylenders, some big commercial banks, and the other non-governmental organizations. But the Grameen Bank has a very strong competitive edge. What makes it so special? So first, they just use trust and the social connection instead of physical collaterals. This leads to amazing results, like an incredible low default rate under 2%. And finally, they are deeply rooted in communities, focus on women and always stick to their social missions. Yeah.
Next, let's move to see the Grameen Bank's entrepreneurial nature. It's divided into four parts: opportunity recognition, innovative solutions, risk-taking, and value creation. First is opportunity recognition. Traditional banks believe that impoverished people lack credit and repayment ability, excluding them from their services. However, Yunus saw a massive untapped market. He discovered that impoverished people are not unwilling to repay, but rather lacking access to fair credit. Second is innovative solutions. Yunus broke the traditional financial rule that loans must be secured, pioneering the group joint liability and weekly installment repayment model. This model uses social capital to replace material collateral, solving credit barriers for impoverished populations. He discovered that female borrowers are more reliable in repayment and that funds are more easily invested in family development. Then he innovated the women's empowerment and finance model. Third is risk-taking. Initially facing skepticism from the government and the traditional banks, who believed that unsecured loans are bound to lose money. Yunus started with personal savings, persisted with small-scale experiments to gradually verify the feasibility of its model. Last is value creation. Financially, loans were repaid at 98.5%, higher than many traditional banks, and the Grameen is self-sustainable. Socially, by prioritizing services for women, he achieved the dual value of poverty alleviation and gender equality. 97% of borrowers are women, improving the social status of women, helping over 100 million people escape extreme poverty, and promoting rural economic development in Bangladesh. In short, Grameen's entrepreneurial nature redefined what finance can do, turning poverty into possibility.
Now I will focus on the critical success factors that have made the Grameen banks not only successful, but sustainably successful over the past decades. I will take about three key factors. The first and perhaps the most distinctive factor is how Grameen Bank successfully expanded into new customer segments that traditional banks ignored. In Bangladesh, most commercial banks served wealthier men who already had assets or collateral. Professor Muhammad Yunus discovered that poor rural women, though financially excluded, were actually more reliable borrowers. They repaid on time and invested their earnings in their children's education or household well-being. By focusing on women, Grameen Banks built a completely new market segment, one that traditional finance had overlooked. Today, 97% of Grameen borrowers are women, creating a powerful cycle of financial inclusion and social empowerment. This women-centric strategy expanded Grameen Bank's service reach, giving it access to more business opportunities than traditional banks. Also made the bank's business model more resilient and sustainable in long term. The second key success factor is Grameen's innovative microcredit model, the foundation of the entire operation. Traditional banks relied on collateral, credit history, and legal contracts, which automatically exclude the poor. Yunus broke this rule by introducing a group-based lending system built on the trust and social accountability. Borrowers from the groups of five where each member guarantees the other's loans. This peer pressure and mutual trust replace the needs of the physical collateral, transforming social capital into financial reliability. This peer-to-peer support mechanism combines the local Bangladesh community trust networks with modern finance concepts, enabling the poor to access bank loans while maintaining a default rate below 2% in the long term. It also ensures the bank generates sufficient revenue to sustain daily operation and continue its mission to improving the rural family. The third factor behind the Grameen's lasting success is its social business philosophy. Unlike the traditional banks that pursue profit maximization, Grameen banks exist to achieve the social goals while remaining financially self-sufficient. Yunus called this model social business. All profits are reinvested into new loans, education, housing, or health projects instead of distributed to the shareholders. A good example is the Grameen Danone, a joint venture with the French company Danone, producing low-cost nutritious yogurt for undernourished children in Bangladesh. This model combines economic sustainability with strong social impact, exactly the balance that defines Grameen's success. Through this philosophy, Grameen balanced financial health and the social mission, allowing Grameen to be both self-sufficient and able to serve society long-term.
In conclusion, Grameen Bank demonstrates that a little trust and financial inclusion can empower millions. Its success stems from a powerful social mission and an innovative model that proves entrepreneurship can be a massive force for solving social problems. And this is our reference. Thank you for listening.